Good morning. Welcome to Workforce Skills with John Morris. Another Monday morning out here in Phoenix, Arizona. How's everybody doing out there? First, I want to say thank you to everybody that's liking and subscribing to our channel. This is awesome. We're growing. I love it. The content out there, it obviously means something to you guys. It's a struggle sometimes doing this day in and day out every week. Looking at what I've done over the last, I don't know how many episodes, I just keep doing this. What I deal with on a day-to-day basis is basically what I bring to you guys. It's a struggle sometimes when the weeks are going so smooth, everything's so perfect, and I have nothing to talk about. There's no content because what I bring to you guys is what I'm dealing with, my issues, my problems within the business. Right now, the business is running very smooth. Knock on wood somewhere here. Let's make sure nothing gets screwed up. So as we're going through these weeks and everything's running smooth, we ask ourselves, okay, what do we do differently? Do we just coast? What are we looking for? And what we do is on Saturday, we had our life skills class here at the office. It's not mandatory for the employees. It's for whoever wants to show up. I think we had about 24 people show up on Saturday, and we do it from 7 to 11 in the morning. It's just a 4-hour thing. And lately we've been cutting short about 10 o'clock. So we only do 3 hours. But it's basically life skills. It's what we talk about on these podcasts. It's what I teach in the class. And I'm really excited when we get to this point to where things are running smooth, but we do the life skills. And then it's not just me up there speaking. Then I'll have some of the employees talk. I had Stephanie, who works in our front office, in there, and she was talking about what she deals with on a day-to-day basis with people clocking in and clocking out, and how difficult it is just to get somebody to do a simple task of clocking in and out. The way we're set up as a company, you call into a company phone number. We have a line designated for this that's connected to our CRM program. And you call it up. It says, "Good morning, John Morris." It'll say your name. Push 1 to clock in, 2 to clock out. It's that simple. And you push 1 to clock in. "Thank you. Have a good day," it says back to you. It's a very nice voice on there. It's very smooth. It's really simple and easy. The problem we have is we have some guys that can't even figure out how to clock in and clock out. So that's how you make your money. That's how you track the hours that you're working. You can actually go into this program. You can see what hours you worked. You can see what you have on there, as well as our paycheck system. You can go in, log in your account, how much sick time you have accrued, how many vacation hours you have accrued. That is your information you need to know. So knowing that's the way you get paid, why would you not clock in and clock out? So we have one guy that's notorious for this. We have to remind him every single week, and sometimes 3 and 4 times a week, clock in, clock out. He doesn't do it. He's supposed to clock out at 3 o'clock. Next day he clocks in, but he never clocked out from the day before. It screws our system up. So we have to go in and figure it out. Finally, one week, we just decided, you know what? We're going to sit him down, talk to him, and tell him, hey, moving forward, if you don't do this, you're not getting paid. How do we know you're there? What if a superintendent doesn't show up at your job site that day? This is our way to track it and prove that you've been there. So one week, all of a sudden, we get a call from him. "Hey, I got shorted on my paycheck." "Oh, well, let's look into it." "Well, you never clocked back in after lunch and you never clocked out at the end of the day. So how can we pay you? We don't know whether you were there or not. How are we supposed to do this?" That is your responsibility. If you want to get paid, track your hours, track your time. I am never, ever going to screw somebody out of a paycheck. That has never happened. Everybody that's ever worked for me has always gotten paid. Now, there's been some times where, as a company, as we're growing, there's times where we struggled running payroll through regular paychecks, and we've had to cut straight checks. And when we do that, and of course, we cheat Uncle Sam a little bit, and we'll write it as a gas reimbursement or a mileage reimbursement to them and not take any taxes out and give them straight time. We always make it up to them. So it's an advantage to the employees. And it's interesting, during those times, I've had a couple employees get upset and say, "Well, I got to pay taxes. I got to do this." It's very rare that happens because most people want to take a little more than Uncle Sam gets. So they look forward to that. It's an advantage for them, and it helps us out as a company once in a while. Not that we do it continuously. It's just in rare occasions that has happened in the past as the company was growing to get to the point where it's at now. Now we're at a point where we don't do that anymore. It's just that we've kept enough money aside in the bank to where we can make payroll for weeks and weeks on end. So we don't have that issue. But as a company growing, you do what you need to grow, and you do what you need to take care of your employees. Like I said, last week's podcast, the employee's your first customer. What you have to do as an employee, though, is you have to act like you want to be there. You have to show up. You got to put out and you got to clock in and clock out. So for these employees that have a hard time clocking in and out, what is our responsibility as an employer to make sure it happens? With the amount of employees we have, I don't want to feel like I have to babysit every single person and deal with every situation. There comes a point to where you're grown adults. You've got to take care of your own stuff. So how do you get people to do that? I look at some of these guys and just people in general that I pass in life, and I wonder, how did they get to this point in life at this age? And they're still functioning. They're still able to pay their bills, because you look at some of their choices and what they do. And unfortunately, I think common sense isn't that common anymore. It's a struggle out there watching some people and how they've survived this far in their life to get to the point that they're at. And this goes back to the clocking in, clocking out. If you know that's how you get paid, why would you not do it? Why would you forget to do something that's going to put more money in your pocket? You care about your job. You care about all this other stuff. You want to be a better painter. You want to be a good employee. But that's one thing that's going to affect you personally. It has nothing to do with the job. It has nothing to do with anything else other than your income, what you deserve, what you have the right to, and you need to be accountable for your own situation. We can't be calling you every day. We can't be calling you every morning and saying, hey, you forgot to clock out yesterday. What time did you leave? Because we're going to do that. Plus, we're going to call somebody else on the job to verify. We're going to confirm it with a superintendent. That makes more work for us. It makes it a little bit more difficult for us going into those situations to try to track hours. Every Monday, we reconcile the hours from the week before. Our pay period is Sunday through Saturday. So come Monday morning, the girls in the office, they're reconciling the payroll for the week. They're running it through paychecks. That's what we do. That's what we have to do to make sure everybody gets a paycheck on Friday, because pay period is always a week behind. So today's Monday, everything everybody worked for last week, they're going to get paid for on this Friday, and so on. Now we've got to keep track of who's called out sick, who missed days, who's using vacation days, who's using sick days. There's a lot involved with this. So why make it more difficult than it has to be? The amount of people that call in, hey, do I have any more sick time? Hey, do I have any more vacation time that I have? Well, you have that opportunity to look at your paycheck stubs. Even though we do direct deposit, you still have an account. You can still look it up, but yet we still have to do this for people. It's your money. Keep track of your money, your hours, your vacation time, your sick time. That's what you're offered. Keep track of it. Be accountable for your own stuff. And I start looking at some of these people that do this and the guys and girls that work for us, and I start wondering, what is their personal life like? How responsible are they for their personal life? If they're not responsible just for tracking their own hours, what are they doing in their personal lives that needs help, that needs something changed, something different? And that's why we do the life skills class. Life skills class is more than just about work, what we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. It's also about how to be a better person, a better employee, how to be a good functioning member of society. That's what we do here. We're not just about being an employer, just about getting the job done, getting work and producing. We're about how do we become better members of society. I want to know every day I did something better than the day before. So with that being said, we also do the life skills for multiple vocational programs. We've done it for multiple programs in the Valley here in Phoenix to help people get back on track, get back out there to get jobs. Because for some people, they think, well, it's just common sense. You go out and you work, you make your money, you move on. Well, for a lot of people that come out of the system or off the streets or out of drug rehabs, trying to get their lives back on track, no one's ever taught them this. They've never been instructed on how to be a good employee, how to just show up, how to be 10 minutes early, how to set your clothes out the night before or pack a lunch the night before so you're more prepared in the morning to get to work. It's something so simple as just packing a lunch the night before that can save you 10 minutes in the morning. That's going to help you get to work 10 minutes early, to be on time, to be out there, to get your coffee, to get on the road, get where you need to be and not be late. So it's the simple stuff that we teach people in these life skills class. I'm excited to say, even tonight, I'm going back to one of the original places that we started one of our vocational programs, a place called New Freedom. We're going back in there. I'm going to be teaching the life skills class again. One of our employees will be teaching hands-on. There'll be an employee there helping out with that. I'm going in as a volunteer. For me, this is a passion. It's something that I feel a need to do. When the majority of these men and women in this program come out of prison and they've never had an opportunity, never had a chance, this is what we're teaching them. This is how we're teaching them to be better members of society, better employees. I'm going to tell you right now, the top 10% of my company that's in management, they are all out of the program. They are all men and women out of prison. They're all men and women off the streets, out of drug rehabs, and they have become better members of society. They are doing something better with their lives and with a purpose. And for them, it means the world to know that they can do this. I can't tell you how many times someone came up to me and said, John, because of you, I'm doing well, or I got my first apartment, my first car, or I got my first raise at the job that I'm at. And for me, and I take zero credit for that. All I did was show the way. All I did was show them, hey, here's what you can do. It's possible if you follow these steps. This curriculum that we wrote for the vocational program for life skills, it is a blueprint. It is a recipe. If you follow the recipe, it works. If you change it, it's not going to work. You might make it, but not as successful as if you would have followed the recipe that we put in place for you. And it is so simple. It's as simple as showing up 10 minutes early, simple as setting your clothes out the night before, packing a lunch the night before. That's all it takes to get out there. So packing your lunch, setting your clothes out. What else is there that's that simple? It's as simple as getting down the road and planning ahead, knowing where your job is for the day. With us in construction, you could be at a different job site every week. Sometimes it's every day, depending on what's going on. So I always tell my guys, look at the job text you get the night before. Know exactly where you're going. Plan your trip out. Plan your route out the next morning for getting to work, to where you're going to be. You want to make sure you have a plan. If your plan is to stop at Circle K and get a cup of coffee or QT or some Quickie Mart on the way, plan an extra few minutes for that. You never know how long the line's going to be. You never know what's going to be in front of you. It could be my wife who wants to buy her scratcher tickets that morning, her lottery tickets, and she's going to hold that line up for an extra 5 minutes. That's 5 minutes you don't have. So you have to pre-plan for that. It could be an accident. This morning coming to work, there was an accident on the on-ramp coming to our shop. I had to reroute. It took me an extra 5 minutes to go completely around this thing to get to the office this morning. So you have to plan for that stuff. Now, fortunately, I was ready for work. I left 15 minutes earlier than I normally do. So I was still 10 minutes earlier than I normally would get here. So that's what comes with pre-planning before you get to work, before you're going to do something. Have your tools ready. When you're walking on a job site and you're supposed to start at 6 in the morning because it's getting sunlight earlier right now. So if my guys are starting at 6 o'clock, my recommendation is you should be there 10, 15 minutes early. You're walking up on a job with your buckets of tools, anything you need in hand to start that job, to where when you clock in at 6 o'clock, you're ready to go. You're ready to start working. Now, that's all it takes. You're not clocking in at 6 o'clock and then going back to your vehicle to get your tools and then walk back up, figure out what you need. Oh, I forgot this. Going back to my truck to get more tools. Plan ahead and make sure you know what you're doing. One rule we have within our company is if you need paint for the next day or it's going to happen, you're calling in that paint order by noon today. Some might say, well, that's too early. Well, when you're starting as early as 6 o'clock and you're getting off, say 2:30, 3 o'clock, roughly, that gives us time to order the paint, get it back to the shop before we shut down, and have it ready to go out first thing the next morning. Because first thing the next morning for us is 5 o'clock. We're here at 4:30. So we got trucks going out at 5 o'clock. We need to make sure everything's here. The paint store doesn't open until 6 o'clock in the morning, so we have to get it the day before. So we plan ahead for these situations. We're going to make sure we have everything in place for us to be successful. And in the back of our warehouse, we have one door that everything goes out. Anything coming back in, anything being checked in comes in a separate door and gets set inside these yellow square boxes that we have painted on the floor, and it gets inventoried back in and then put back into supplies and back in the warehouse. So we have a system set up that's going to make us as efficient as possible to make us just run like a well-oiled machine. If anything doesn't work, we stop, we write a process for it, we figure out the best way to make it work, and we move forward. But planning ahead on everything is what we do all day long, every day. We're going to plan ahead on the jobs. We're going to war room on a job. We're going to make sure we have all the supplies, everything that's needed out there. So we're going to do everything we can to make sure your job is as successful as possible out there. All you got to do is clock in and clock out on time, show up, do your job. It's that simple. The other thing I want to throw out there too is with our life skills class on Saturdays that we do. Like I said, it's not mandatory, but what I do look at is I keep track of who's coming to these, who's getting something out of it, who's showing up, who's showing the extra initiative to be a part of this, to take time once a month on a Saturday to spend with us in the office in our conference room and just learn a little bit. We do talk about work situations. We do talk about things we're doing within the company, within the business, as well as life skills and how to be a better employee, a better person in general. But this is an opportunity for my employees to get to know me a little bit that I normally don't get to see. Because a lot of our employees don't start at the office. They don't start here. They start out there on the job. We have work in all four corners of the state of Arizona right now. So this is an opportunity for them to get to know me. I get to see them face to face. I'm seeing who's shown up. I get to interact with them and get to know them as a person. And it never fails. Whenever we're done, I don't get out of here for at least an hour after we complete this, because there's always people that want to sit around and talk, and that gets me a better chance to get to know them on a personal level. And that's important to me as a business owner. I want to get to know my employees. So not only do I get to know them that way, I get to know them through our Zoom, our team win thing that we do every morning at 9 o'clock. It's that opportunity to know the employees and for them to know me. Get to know their characteristics. What are they interested in? What are they like? How do they respond to questions? What interests do they have? Are they even interested in showing up to the life skills class and being a part of this with us? That's one of the most important things. And out of management, which ones in the management are showing up to that? Because that shows a little extra initiative, the ones that are doing that. Just recently, I've had a guy say, yes, he's coming to him. He's done it twice in a row and he hasn't shown up. That's okay. He had other things going on. One of his issues this Saturday for not showing up, and it just spurred the moment, he was getting his interlock device out of his vehicle. This guy had spent some time locked behind bars, and when he got out, he had to have an interlock device in his breathalyzer in his vehicle, and he just got it out this Saturday. So my hat tips off to him. I'm going to applaud him. He missed it for a reason that needed to happen, and that's a milestone for him on his path to success of what he's doing for himself. It means a lot. And this is a guy that's going to go far with us. He's been here for quite a while. He's an ideal employee. He goes above and beyond, takes pride and quality in what he's doing, clocks in and out every day right on time. He does everything that's expected of him. But yet we can get others that don't do that. So I get that everybody has a different personality, different traits, different things. But when it comes to structure within the company, there has to be certain things that are non-negotiable, that aren't going to change. And one of them is just clocking in and clocking out. I can't stress that enough to anybody out there. It's your money. It's your time. Take advantage of it. That's what you need. That's how you're going to pay your bills. That's how you're going to pay your rent, your vehicle payment, your insurance, buy food. Why short yourself or gyp yourself out of some hours when you were supposed to clock in and out? And I guarantee you, there's probably other owners out there, other companies that, hey, if you can't do it for yourself, they're not going to do it for you. You're out of luck. I'm not going to be that person because I don't feel that's right. But if we go a week or two and then you catch on, we're going to make sure we pay you for it, but you've got to catch it. You've got to bring it to attention. And I guarantee you, everybody catches it. I get guys calling up the office saying, hey, you shorted me 8 hours last week. Oh, well, did you remember you called out sick that day? Oh, that's right. Or we'll have a holiday. They'll completely forget we took a holiday off and wonder why they got shorted hours. It's always them, the employee, that makes that mistake, typically not us. So we always have to keep that in mind too. So we're always looking at what we can do to help our employees. How do we improve on what we do? And one thing I've done lately is I've texted reminders to certain employees at certain times. So I can put up a reminder through our CRM program, a job task or a task for them. And I'll send them a text at a certain time, tell them, hey, this clock in, or hey, clock out, or you have this appointment tomorrow morning. You have this going on, or hey, you need to call your project manager at this time. You've got a 15-minute window to order your paint for the next day. We've done that for certain guys to help get them in a routine and a pattern. So even though I talk about different things, we don't set our employees up for failure. We find ways to make them successful. If we see a problem, we always create a process for that problem. We're creating a process to make things run smoother. The problem for guys that can't figure out clocking in and out, we look for change in a process. How are we going to do this? I've got superintendents that always forget to call in their paint for the next day or check in with the project manager. How do I change that? Well, I've set up a constant reminder. Monday through Friday at 11 to 11:15, I got a reminder for one of my superintendents. 11:15, 11:30, I've got another reminder. Hey, you're calling your project manager. And in that text, it'll tell them you're going to discuss the progress on the job. You're going to discuss paint for tomorrow. You're going to discuss obstacles or issues, and you're going to talk about scheduling for tomorrow. I'll send those messages out. They get that, and it helps them so they can proceed and get done what they need to get done. And it creates efficiency. It not only makes it easier for the project manager who's struggling to get them to call them, but it also helps them remind themselves to call them. And after doing that over a period of time, it's interesting how some of these guys they don't need the reminder anymore. It becomes habit. And that's all we're trying to do is create habits, a habit of clocking in and clocking out, a habit of showing up 10 minutes early, a habit of setting out your clothes the night before, or packing your lunch the night before going to work, a habit of having your tools in your hands as you're walking on a job site instead of getting there, seeing what you need to do, clock in and walk back to your vehicle to get them. That just doesn't make sense to me. So we have to create habits. We have to create structure to make it so everything runs smoother. And the more things I can put in place to help people create better habits, the more I can teach the life skills class, the common sense factor of life, the common sense of being a good employee. I'm going to continue to do what I do. I'm going to continue to do these podcasts. I'm going to continue to teach in the life skills class. This is what's necessary. This is what's needed. Because what I've noticed over time is, as a society as a whole, we're becoming weak. We're becoming lazy. And we need to step up our game. We need to start being better men and women. We need to become better workers, better fathers and mothers. We need to train ourselves to become better as a whole. This is what we need to change in our own lives. And only each person of us, we can take an inner look at ourselves and know what we need to work on. But some of us are so hard-headed, so difficult that we're blinded by our own issues, our own problems. You have to be willing to take an inner look at yourself and decide, hey, what do I need to work on? What do I need to fix within myself? Because it's one thing for me to look at my employees and say, well, you need to fix this, 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 and this. But how are they going to be when I say that? Are they going to be receptive? Are they going to take it? Or are they going to feel like I'm just picking on them? That's what I don't want to come across. I want to come across the right way. And that's why we implement the life skills. We implement the common sense part of this. And that's what's necessary. That's what's changing the game for our company. That's what's changing the growth within our company. That's what's changing people from coming from the streets, drug rehabs, prison, and getting back into the workforce. They are making the difference out there in construction because that's the next generation of construction workers. It's not the younger generation. They don't want to do it. They just don't have it in them. Not saying all of them, the greater percentage of it. So the new workforce for me is the forgotten, the fallen, the ones that need an opportunity. And I'm going to be here to give it to them, and I'm going to help them. That's what this podcast is about. That's what this journey is about for me. By giving somebody a second chance. It's not a hand up. Well, let me take that back. It's not a handout. It is a hand up. I'm reaching out. They got to reach up, and they got to take it, and they got to run with it. It's not given to them for free. They have to work for it. It's a struggle. It's not going to be easy, but I guarantee you it's going to be easier than doing nothing. It's easier than finding that next fix. It's easier than being homeless. It's easier than being locked up behind bars. You have to have a job. You've got to make money. You have to work. That's what this is about. It's about being a good worker. having common sense and doing what it takes to be better than everybody else around you. What can you do better than the next person? What are you going to do to stand out? Make sure you clock in and clock out. That's your money. That's how we do this. You shouldn't have to be told. You shouldn't have to be told how to be a good employee or show up 10 minutes early. But unfortunately, it has to happen. And eventually we learn and we train ourselves to this, to the point to where at one time it was just me, then it was a few employees. A good leader creates more leaders. Now I've got my leadership team, my superintendents, my project managers, estimators. They're teaching the exact same thing to the people that are in positions below them. It's changing within the company. There's a ripple effect happening right now. And it's for the better good of the company. It's for the better good of society, of us being human beings, of treating each other the right way, of being better persons, better people. Once again, guys, thanks for joining me. Stay hungry.